Are there?
Well, you got a projected ending, what, 258?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
I don't know what your insurance number is, because nobody ever gave that to me, so I was just using what it was before.
Which is good.
At 17, you have insurance and that.
Yeah, that's coming through the same group that insures the golf course.
And
Yes.
nobody gave me your numbers for that.
Those are actually in the policy that the golf course is. Yeah.
Is there a portion though that's out
Yeah,
of?
there is. And that's the number that we came up with.
And the property taxes and all that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You never really have a lot of
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't come to fruition, then that's just extra money that's not going to be spent.
Correct.
Right.
So allow you to reduce
I
the
mean,
following year.
Yeah, and
And allows you to jumpstart your reserves. which
right,
is really
exactly, or
I agree with that.
use, you know,
Jumpstart
again,
your reserves.
We've got a roof on a cart barn. Is that a part of this as
No.
well? Is that, no, okay.
Just just,
That's the golf
this
operation.
is just the building.
Because currently, Duffy's is paying about $5,000 a month for a cam
right.
and
Jeff, that could be your remodel.
reserves.
That's right.
Yeah, plus reserves.
Right.
Yeah.
This has got 7,200.
Property management.
You want to wait another year before you pay down, right?
Here,
I'm sorry.
is 5,000 then? They're paying?
The CAM reserves are 5,000.
We're showing 7,000. Or whoa, sorry. They're paying 5,000 a year?
No,
A month.
a month,
Plus reserves, so.
plus reserves.
That's right, so 60,000.
Plus
Yeah.
reserves, which gives you
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that does add up.
Yeah.
it does.
Sorry, I'm just looking at 7,000.
Yeah. But then you have the area maintenance. And the common area maintenance for Duffy's, that's the landscaping. Correct? Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Now,
Chuck, on this budget, the enterprise budget, I'm not sure if the header accurately reflects everything. It says irrigation services, and then the stuff below it doesn't necessarily correspond with irrigation services. Yeah.
I don't know what that number is, 140,000 for renovation.
I think it's,
Actually, he's talking about the heading for, he's talking about the
Yeah, the
heading.
irrigation's only 2,100.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You think that's just?
But you're adding in that 140, right?
I'm sorry, Lisa, projected for,
I think it's just misfired.
It's just, yeah.
it's just this time.
that's it, yeah.
They started with the template that probably came out of the irrigation fund and then
Right.
just replacing that title. So it's called the base grounds and services.
Operating expenses, right? Property management, electricity, repairs, irrigation.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Lisa, were you talking about the irrigation number?
I think she was.
Total irrigation services, 139.8.
Yeah, again, I think that's pulling from the header up
Yeah.
above.
Yeah.
It should say something that's like
It covers-
building,
It covers all those things up.
building costs or something like that.
Irrigation, it's grounds maintenance services or.
They copied and pasted the information and didn't change all the titles.
You got electricity, property management, repairs, maintenance, building maintenance.
Hurricane cleanup.
Oh,
Where are we with the lights, by the way?
They're done.
They're done. I was having put up there at night.
See them later when we get done.
They look good. Yes, go ahead, Greg. Go check them out.
I got the over.
But I still don't get that. So, but you're adding in the irrigation and the operating expenses.
One more time. The header on that department is going to be changed to maintenance operations.
Which one?
The very top.
The one you're reading right now says irrigation services in bold. It's going to be changed to maintenance operations, and all of those categories below there fall under that. That title was incorrect when it said irrigation services, and thus the one at the bottom of that section that says total irrigation services is incorrect. That's going to be changed to total maintenance operations.
And what about total operating expenses under that? What?
That will remain the same. That's all of the expenses in those multiple departments. You've got operating expense.
That's your.
Operating expenses are made up of two departments, administrative expenses and maintenance
Administrative
operations.
expenses are taxes, real estate taxes.
No,
What's taxes and assessments?
those are administrative expenses.
Or, what's that? Administrative expenses.
Taxes and assessments of Lee County, office supplies and miscellaneous.
Real estate.
For a total of $17,477. When you add that to the total for maintenance operations, which is $139,800, that makes the total operational expenses at $157,277.
What's the 258,324?
That is the gain loss.
That's your NOI. Okay.
That's your gain loss.
So the 157,277 number is what we're passing through.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
You still have,
Well, that's what's budgeted for.
Then you take all of your revenue at $415,601, and you remove the total operating expenses of $157,277.
Yeah, that's your NOI.
You get to the $258,324.
We're not necessarily passing this along, this is what we're budgeting for.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily, that $100,000 under repair and maintenance does not have to be $100,000. Hopefully it's not.
Only when it's realized.
Hopefully it's, hopefully zero,
well,
but it's probably gonna be something.
But we're gonna be billing them their percentage of 157,277 for the whole year. And then
At year end, you may have a
the
revenue.
credit.
Yeah.
You have to identify your reserves.
I mean,
Because we're
honestly,
keeping-
our budget before was like 100 grand. So I just wanted to see what else was in there that I'm not sure should be a repeat in 2024 that maybe was in 2023.
Yeah, the patio.
It's not part of it.
2023, your budget was $153,557 for these operating expenses. Your budget for 2024 is $157,277, or an increase of about $4,000. That's the comparison right there. That was your budget in 2023 to 2024.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't do that. Well, anyway, maybe if we could just see, if I could see a breakdown of what the repairs and maintenance were, that would be great. Where you came up with 100.
Where we came up with 100 is the fact that through the end of March, we had already realized $53,205, so we doubled that up for the next 6 months.
Well, maybe that's what we need to see. What is that? What's that number? I've always wondered what that was.
I'm going to send you,
3 months?
I'm going to send you the AP report that you approve every single time we
Okay.
run.
Okay, that'd be great.
Those are the reports you see and you approve. That's where these numbers come from, so.
Okay. Yeah, through March 31st.
We have them through the end of, July right now.
Yep, I just did one today. But I don't know if I saw them in March. That's okay.
Okay.
Well, look.
You see them every time they come out for that building, because I do not approve them, you approve them.
Yeah. We just didn't have codes and things.
Got a chart of them.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to look at the golf course?
Yep.
Okay.
Are we, in the past, haven't we done, when we've approved the operation?
All in one, we actually have in the past of the golf course because it wasn't ready, but I think
Okay.
they're ready tonight, so we can
Yes.
approve the
Okay.
whole thing at once.
Okay.
So the golf course is a little different animal because of how it generates its revenue. It's not
Okay.
tax assessment based.
Chuck, again,
Yes, sir.
good job putting this together.
Thank you.
So now we're on the golf course?
No, yeah, they're gonna do the golf course.
He has people that
So, one thing before we get into the fiscal budget, the projections are a little askew if you read through them. They're not even really close to the revenue end of it. We're gonna make way more than what we projected, and we had some issues when we received the original template that the through March 31st numbers were incorrect. And me and John just went ahead with the budget without looking at what this was going to be at, the projected per se, going forward. So if you look at those, they're not right. They're not exactly correct.
What page are you on there?
Well, looking at pages, yeah, starting on page 17 going forward through to page 24, those aren't exactly right. The proposed budget is correct, but the proposed projected is not.
Gotcha.
We're going to project more revenue going forward, and a little bit more expense, but mainly revenue. If we look at 23-24, we're projecting a total profitability gross at 3.9 million. This year, for example, we were actually probably going to finish about 3.7. So we should be good to this number. We are projecting to increase the rate on the golf end of it at the high end, at the rack rate, 20%. The league rate at 20% and the group rate at 20%. The resident rate will stay the same as it is this year. And that gives us these numbers. We did reduce the rounds a little bit. One of the things that we've talked about is the possibility of reducing the number of rounds to have less strain on the golf course per se, and so this number could be higher, could be lower. The only thing that makes me nervous about this is the idea that they are calling for El Nino, which, are you guys familiar with the weather pattern El Nino? I think we talked about it in the past. That's for a rainy, cold winter. That would be the only thing that would keep us from making these numbers. I don't see anything else keeping us from that, and actually, I'm hoping that doesn't either. That's all I really have on the revenue end of it. The expense end of it, we increased the golf course expense, mainly in payroll. One problem with last year's was in my payroll, I had miscounted the number of weeks because we got into a single week pay period and it was a little bit askew. So I straightened that out, and we do have the we call it the lowest rate. What's minimum wage? Minimum wage. Yeah, there we go. Minimum wage does go up, so there was some of that too. That was about it for us for expenses. Basically, expenses stayed the same. I did, per the board's recommendation, increase the expenses in the range ball purchase up considerably, and I think that's about it on our expenses end of it. John, you want to pick yours?
Yeah. So one of the issues, before I forget, is I brought up earlier, Mr. Dalton, when you came back from vacation, we talked about, the increases for employee wages. And back in, I want to say it was June, we discussed it with the board, and at the time the board said 3%, and that's what we went off. I know that you were, when you came in, you kind of jokingly said, take it to 4, and I was just like, I can't arbitrarily just do that, but what's up?
My son's waving at me, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were waving at me. So I know that that's something you want to talk on real quick before I go into any more.
John, we talked about it briefly. Did you figure out what the
I did.
differential?
I did. So a 1% increase, because we've already increased wages by 3% in the current budget as it sits, would be a total of, for the golf course, to go from 3 to 4% would be, with payroll taxes and fees and the actual wage costs, would be a total of about $8,006
Annually?
annually.
Wow. Okay.
It's for everyone, right?
That's for everybody.
That's including insurance?
At payroll taxes and fees at 25%, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just as a point of reference, Florida, has outpaced the rest of the U.S. in terms of cost of living adjustment inflation for the last year. I've read a couple of reports, 6.7% seems to be the number. So I don't know, I just feel like if you're given a 3% raise, people are maybe even losing out, That's my
Inflation rate's much higher than that.
The other thing is, there are political policies in place that make it maybe more difficult for John to keep some of his staff in play this year. So I think just becoming an employer of choice, somewhere north of 3, somewhere south of 6.7, to me feels right.
Sounds like 5's a good number.
I was going to say, I mean, if 1% is bringing it up 8 and 2 bring it up to 16, I think we should do the 5%. I mean,
But nobody can leave. They can't quit.
Sure.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
And again, we're raising the revenue by 20%. So some of that, I think it's only fair, goes to the people who are working hard to maintain the course.
Great.
Now, that's golf course staff, I don't know, are you including just
Yeah,
staff?
I think
Yes,
everyone.
Well, I mean, that should be everybody, so.
Jeff's got to
that's
fight his
the
own
numbers.
fight, but yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my payroll where I want it. I'm pretty good with it. I raised my key employees up a little bit more than 3% and, did the rest at their minimum wage. Most of my employees are part-time.
Yep.
So, I feel really good about my payroll at this point. And, yeah.
I would agree with that. Our biggest challenge is John's crew. No, nothing against John, but that's just,
Well, it's the nature of the beast.
yeah, it's just unfortunately a lot of turnover in that role, so.
Yeah, and the 5%, I think, is a blended rate, Jeff. So if you've got people who are stepping up doing more, you can give them more, a bit more than 5%. I'm just,
No, that's going to adjust the general fund, correct? Or is that number already in the general fund?
You're covered in the general fund, aren't you, John?
I did not, as far as common grounds, I mean, I'd have to do that with the staff, the current staff. I can crunch some numbers real quick while you guys are talking and give you.
I mean, are you talking just the golf course guys, or?
That was just for the golf.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't include the 4 people, the 5 people
Okay,
on the common.
sorry, I thought that did.
But
Okay.
there's, 5 people on the common grounds?
Yeah.
And how many did you have with the, how many did you have?
15, close to 15.
Yeah, so I don't think it would have affected.
No, it'd be minimal, very minimal, but I can get you the numbers you want me to.
yeah, the common grounds looks like it's up almost 20%.
Yeah. I think you got yourself covered in the comments, kind
Yeah,
of looks
I
like
think
a
you're
fat
good there.
bump you did.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to increase the payroll to 5%.
A second.
increase. Any comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So readjust your budget accordingly.
Yeah, I'll do payroll,
Okay.
get that to you tomorrow, so.
I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, they've stuck with us. Let's appreciate them.
My biggest increases was definitely this new lease package we're going to be getting, with that, and we're going to be getting that new loader, but that's going to be minimal, because that's interest only, that's
Interest only.
capital wise. But that lease, the same lease that, we're basically just replacing, that's another, I think it's like $15,000 a year extra for the exact same equipment, in the last 4 years. I did have some increases in fertilizer and chemicals, and then payroll. That was basically the major increases.
Fertilizer and chemicals shot up a lot. Huh?
Yeah. Not too much. I mean, I think it was like 10, where's my old budget?
It's a transfer.
37?
Yeah, that's for, and usually, so with chemical and fertilizer, I just call my, my reps and say, hey, how does it look, how does the market look for this year? And, based off what they tell me, whether, percentage-wise or, we're losing Ronstar next year. It's a big product that we use. It's pre-emergent. It's basically by the end of 2024, we'll no longer have access to it. That's going to be a game changer for us moving forward, and it's, thinking about the renovation, it's one of the most widely used product in the turf industry, and it's one of the most effective. That's why it's used so.
Why can't you use it anymore?
The EPA's taken it off the market. They deemed it not safe over time, and just
Because it works.
right.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Good answer, Phil.
And as far as I know, and talking with, other sales reps, chemical reps, there's nothing out there in the market. It takes a good product, any chemical, whether it be a herbicide or pre-emergent, anywhere from $15 to $30 million to be realized before it comes to market in 10 to 15 years. It's got to go through a lot of EPA, depending on what market you're trying to bring in, Europe, US, they all have different, restrictions. It takes a lot, and nobody, as far as I know, since I've talked to people in the industry, they're even trying to come up with something else. There are other products, current products that have been out for a while, they're just not as effective. So, something I got looking forward to in a year and a half, basically. And overall, I think the budget went up,
You guys have done a great job, all of you, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate both you guys spending time with me. Jeff, on the consolidated revenues, you said 3.9 might be a little bit light. What do you think that would come in at in 24?
2024,
Yeah.
you could come in over 4 million potentially, or it could be heavy. So much of revenue on the golf course is dependent on weather. I mean, part of the reason why we're having this beautiful August, this unbelievable August, this unbelievable July is because it's not raining. John puts us together a great product. He does a great job. And, we try to sell that product the best we can. We offer some of the best service, I think, of any golf course in Southwest Florida. And, as long as we have good weather, we're going to make this money. But if we run into a situation in February where it rains 10 days, every day you're looking at between $15,000 and $20,000 a day. So you can have a $200,000 loss there, and that becomes difficult to make up. Now, one little ace card we do have in our back pocket is June, July, August, and September in this budget are basically what we've had for years. We haven't really looked at major revenue increases. Well, that gives us the ability to make up some of that if we lose in season. And it also gives us the ability, if season goes great, that we can start looking at a lot more money coming in, over 4. And to consider that, 5 years ago, we were making 2.7. To make it to 4, I mean, that's just, me and Chris had lunch yesterday, so that's just.
Yeah, we were 2.6, $2.7 million entity, basically, for a very long period of time.
Yeah, no reserves.
Now we're looking at getting to 4. I think that's good, and I'm hearing, it's possible, but it's all weather dependent at this point.
That weather thing too, I mean, it's a double whammy, because if it would, hopefully it doesn't, but if it would do something like you just outlined, it's going to cost you more to maintain the course as well. So not only would we lose the revenue, expenses will go up as well to try to maintain, because a cold, wet, my understanding from our golf maintenance guy, a wet, cold winter is not good.
And here's the thing too.
For grass.
I mean, I will do anything and everything to keep this place open. It's that daytime rain, the morning. If it rains at night and the course is wet the next day, we'll make it work. We're gonna be open. You can come out and pay if you want to give us your money. It's that daytime rain, you know,
It's 11
cancel.
o'clock, it's a 10 o'clock rain.
You know.
Yeah.
It's a day wiper, and I've seen that in the past. I mean, it's happened in the past where we've lost complete days due to that, and, you know, it's just like watching $15,000 down the toilet, you know, it's gone. There's no way you're gonna make it back. It's not, that day's not gonna come back.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
hope.
hope we don't have a
And,
beautiful
and
weather.
then, you know, the range too gets shut down when it rains, you know? I don't know, I know that the range machine has been doing absolutely wonderful as far as revenue stream since we put it in, you know, it's been a blessing. Maybe one day down the road, you know, covering the range mat, so you could, during a rain event, utilize and still get some revenue,
I love that idea.
you know?
Yeah.
Love that idea.
So you could still, you know, generate some kind of revenue, because that thing's been that good
Yeah.
to us.
Let's remember that that area that we've covered down there for the kids that was donated,
Yes,
Is that right?
50 grand.
it was very expensive, very, yeah.
Where are we on the mats, by the way? Mat replacement?
I have it, it's in here.
Is that in the budget? Okay.
Yeah.
It's in here.
And which has been nice, because that machine has almost been able to pay for that itself. You know, the replacement of those mats, doing them sooner than every 5 years, and doing them quick as they need it, you know?
Absolutely. And we increased the prices, correct?
Yes,
And then we're gonna have balls fresher next year.
yes,
In
we
the
have,
budget, so
I have that budgeted.
everybody will be happy that's out there hitting them.
And we bought, you know, I have some now in reserve, and they're in the process of picking out bad ones and putting brand new ones in.
Awesome.
So when you guys go out there, you should see the newest balls possible. Now, one time in the water, if they don't get picked, or they don't wash the shore, they can fade some,
Yeah.
but this is aqua range, unfortunately.
Good stuff. Let's just hope it doesn't rain too much.
That's right. Does anybody else have any questions on the budget? John, the only thing you have to do is get the amortization for the truck
Yes.
and
And I got to increase
just
your
the
wages,
payroll.
just the payroll.
I make a motion that we adopt the budget.
Open public hearing
Oh,
first.
public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing, Andy?
Yeah, I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Just a second, let us open the
Second.
public hearing first.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Yeah, questions?
As a quasi-government operation, do you have access to the state bidding process?
Do we have access to
State.
bids that the state's already done? Do we have?
Right.
Yes, we do.
Love to talk buying a loader. Have you looked at a state's price on it?
Yeah, there's an opportunity to do that, yes.
Yes.
And we're government, we're not quasi-government, we're government.
Yeah.
Government actual.
Right. But there's a huge way to build revenue from that process. You buy a new one every year. You sell the old one because they bring more than the state bid on the loaders.
Yeah.
We did it in our village, and we ended up with 2 Caterpillar loaders with no investment.
I don't think I'd want to be doing that, to be honest with you, because we have to surplus sell, which means we make a determination that the piece of equipment is no longer useful for the purpose we purchased it for.
Or it's obsolete or
And then to turn around and buy another loader on the heels of that, no. I wouldn't advise my board to do that.
Yeah, the statute requires it has to be deemed obsolete, inefficient, or no longer needed for its original intended purpose.
A business might be able to do that, but I don't think a government can.
Village.
And this is a state statute.
Yeah, this is the state of Florida, so I'm assuming
That's
you're
why I
talking a
asked
different
the
state,
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah,
Okay.
apparently,
Yeah, we ended up with 2 brand new cat loaders with 0 invested in either one.
We still got it?
We'll bring them up.
We're in the market.
You know, and as Chuck mentioned, there are a number of state contracts, and interestingly enough, the Florida Sheriff's Association has negotiated bids with a number of vendors, including generators, vehicles, fire trucks, backhoe, the Sheriff's Association. Figure that one out.
Okay.
You know, Carmine's giving away free coffee cups too.
Oh, good. Any other comments from the public? Yes.
Yeah, you may have mentioned this earlier, but what was the primary reason for the increase in the debt service expenditure for the interest on that 2022 bond?
It's just, it's showing a full year's expense versus the prior year. Prior year was a partial year expense because we took it out. Yeah.
23, is it?
Yeah.
Partial year?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So it's hitting as a full year expense. It's all just driven by the amortization schedule that's right behind that budget.
Yeah, we didn't get the bond until August last year.
Yeah.
I know you guys discussed, mentioned a notice of an increase that went out. And a couple people in the audience, including myself, don't recall that. Did it just go out, or had it gone out of
Month ago, maybe?
What is your,
Dated August 2nd, 2023.
what's your last name?
L-E-F-F-E-R-T.
Whole list of every property owner.
Yeah, I received mine about a week and a half ago.
Yes.
You did?
Brian?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They went out.
Yeah, it's probably sitting on this by then.
Okay. Well, we did send it out. I have a record of it.
I asked my wife, she's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, okay.
That's
And
one
then
of
our
those-
neighbors were the same thing.
Well, I mean, it comes in an envelope, and honestly, if you're not.
Looking for it.
You can
Well, now I'm
easily
looking for
just
it.
think it's
I was
junk
like, maybe
mail,
I
really. I
have
mean,
Okay.
Although I will say, I sent a birthday card to a friend of mine in New Jersey, and it went to Indiana before it went to New Jersey. Not sure why, because the address and the zip code were right,
That's
but
why they keep increasing the price of stamps.
that's right, because it's moving things around. Okay. If
On
there's
the
no,
golf budget, I see we're looking for about a 33% increase in beer sales. They're planning for that?
yeah, we
Yeah,
have-
we're going up on the price.
Okay, that covers that.
yeah. Which is good. Okay.
And the concession stand's an interesting one. There's not a ton of profit in it. It's, you know, one of the smaller items.
It'd be wonderful if Duffy's would take it over.
It sure would be. They're not
I
ready to
think
jump
it
on
would be
that.
better for the customers, because then they could have liquor. I know lots of guys like to have a Bloody Mary or whatever have you. And these aren't things we can have because we can't have a liquor license when they have a liquor license.
Is that an approach?
Yes.
Many times.
And they,
Yes.
so far,
Because you would go from a,
did they say why? Did they expound on that?
I don't think the staff and
Scheduling.
they don't really want to manage that sort of thing, but
well,
it would make sense, I agree.
they probably don't open until 10, 11 o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock anyway. They'd have to
Yeah,
have
so
somebody-
You'd have to have somebody in early.
yeah, I mean, it would be more logical for a food and beverage business to
Yeah.
run a food and beverage business at the same place they're at. And not having golf pros try to run it. But to the point, if they had liquor on that cart, you would go from a gross profit of like 160 to probably 400,000. Liquor is a big driver in any bar, but you put it on a bar cart, it's a huge driver. Now, granted, we would have more drunks on the golf course,
Liability.
and liability might go up some,
Yeah.
but, and talking to Joe, our insurance guy, he's not telling me that our premiums would go up that much, if at all. Now, maybe after the first incident of a drunken fight gets on the news, that might change, but I don't know.
Well, it can't hurt to keep asking.
Right.
You know, maybe there's a way they can create a whole separate business out of it.
Well, they've probably never done it. I mean, they need to look at comps at other clubs and see what, what those
Yeah.
sales are and see if it's worth another $500,000.
And they have enough trouble with the teenagers that work there,
Yeah.
the 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
I've told them for years.
We'll continue to pursue it.
Say, hey, we'll give you rent first year free just so you can make money off it. Works good for you, good, then we'll go back to negotiating day one.
On that space.
On the space, right, just on that space, right. Here,
Yes.
take it, you
Yeah.
run with it and see what
See how it
happens.
goes. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
That cart person be making a lot better tips.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you
Absolutely.
make more money per ticket, and that's, that's where it's at.
Everybody wins.
Win-win-win.
Plus, people spend a little bit more money when they're feeling a little bit better, and, might generate some money in the pro shop when they get back.
Yeah. Okay.
Circus.
Great.
Makes sense. Okay. No more public comments, then we can close the public
Motion
hearing.
to close?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right.
And now consideration of resolution 2023-06, adopting the budget
I
with
make-
the revisions noted in the golf course.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Okay.
To final close out your budget process, we have the public hearing to consider the assessment levying resolution, and that is resolution 2023-07. Behind 5A, again, is the affidavit of publication with regards to today's meeting. 5B is the mailed notice, an example of one that went out to all the property owners, and an affidavit of mailing along with a copy of the Exhibit B, which is a listing of all of the folio numbers and all the property owners that did receive a copy of this notice. And then C is the resolution itself, 2023-07, and again, this is the assessment levying resolution. It just takes into consideration the budget that you just adopted, the assessment levels that are set as a part of that budget, and directs your manager to finalize the lien roll and for the transmittal of that lien roll to the tax collector for placement of your assessments on the property tax bills that will come out the first week in November.
I make a motion?
Motion to open.
Motion to open? Second.
Second. Why does it say state of Wisconsin, county of Brown? Should it state of Florida, county of Lee?
No, that's where Gant has their corporate offices. Doesn't matter really which state it's notarized in.